Hey everyone, welcome back to White Sparrow Living Luke 12:6. I'm Wendy, and today we're doing some Dollar Tree DIYs for your Christmas home decor. So, without further ado, let's get started. For this Dollar Tree DIY, I'm using a summer sign and 2 boxes of the tumbling tower blocks. And then I printed out this image from the internet, and I'll have that linked in the description box below if you decide to do this project. And the first thing I did was took my paper off of the sign on the front. We're going to be using the back, so I'm going to sand it down, get all those ickies off. And then I took a piece of scrap contact paper, just pulled it off. You can use transfer paper or whatever you have, but something sticky so you can lay out your Jenga blocks. Now this project is going to take a total of 70 blocks, and my sign is 9 inches by 13.5 inches. So I laid 35 of my blocks out onto that sticky paper so that I could paint them. I painted 35 of them white with my Waverly chalk paint, and then the other 35 I used some apple barrel acrylic paint in Christmas red. And this makes it so much easier to paint because when you're done with one side, you can just turn the whole sheet and get the other sides, and your blocks aren't just flopping all over the place. And then when you get done painting and they're all dry on the sides that you've done, just pull them off of the tacky paper and replace them back onto the sheet. Now I'm putting them back into the same spots, but that doesn't work because a lot of the sticky is already gone, so just put that in a different place where it hasn't been used yet. And then I'm going to take some Waverly white chalk paint and paint the bottom of my board, and I'm going to paint it on the front and the back so that it's nice and finished on both sides. Now I'm going to take a red paint pen, and using a ruler, I'm just going to make 3 lines, one starting in the middle, then one to the left, and one to the right, so that I have 3 straight lines on all of my red Jenga pieces. And I'm just eyeballing these, and so they're not perfect, but I want this to resemble a candy cane, and I don't think those stripes are really perfect either. So I'm just going to alternate those once I put them on to my board. Now I'm going to take my sheet that I printed out and cut off the white edges with my scissors. And then I'm just going to use my Mod Podge and add a really thin layer of that on the bottom part of my board, just enough to cover where my sheet will be so that it doesn't get all wrinkly. But I'm not going to put any on the top because it'll smear, because this is from an inkjet printer. So I do want to make sure that the corners and the sides all lay down flat. So I'll use my sponge brush to get right under those edges so that it stays down snug as a bug in a rug. So once that's all dry, I'm going to start assembling my tray by alternating my Jenga pieces, red, white, so that it looks like that candy cane pattern. And I'm using some all-purpose cement along with just a teeny bit of hot glue so that I get that permanent hold from the cement and the immediate hold from the hot glue so that it stays in place while it's drying. And this usually takes about 24 hours. And I love the story associated with the candy cane, and this printout says the meaning of the candy cane. And so we start out with what it is and what it reminds us of. So for example, it's a hard candy, and that reminds us that Jesus is like a rock, strong and dependable. And then it has the scripture associated with it, Psalm 31:3. And then it goes on to say the peppermint flavor reminds us of the gift of the spices from the wise men. The white candy stands for Jesus as the holy and sinless Son of God. The cane shape is like a staff used by shepherds in caring for sheep, reminds us of Jesus, our good shepherd. The letter J is for Jesus' name, Jesus. And the color red reminds us that Jesus is the gift of God's love, reminds us that Jesus shed his blood for us. And the stripes, the large stripe reminds us of the cross on which Jesus died. The 3 small red stripes remind us of his sufferings, from the whip on his back, the crown of thorns on his head, and the nail wounds in his hands and feet. So there's no real good way to segue back into the craft, but you can see here I had one small opening left, and I just turned my Jenga piece sideways so that it would slide into there. But I decided not to glue that one down because if you've ever put a lamp on a tray, I don't like the cord going over the edge. So this way it can just kind of trail out of that opening and plug into the wall, and you won't be able to see ugly cords. You know, you can find Jesus in everything, but I think this is a super sweet way of sharing the story of the candy cane and remembering some of the beautiful but lost traditions and messages of Christmas and the one true reason for the season. For this next project, I'm using a fishbowl and a little antler ornament, some baker's twine, a candle. It's one of those pre-lit ones, or you know, the fakey ones. And then I'm just taking my filler and putting it into the fishbowl and then dressing up my candle just to give it a little more cuteness. So I took that baker's twine and my antler, and I took the greenery off of a Believe ornament. I like the greenery on some of them, but I didn't like the bow. It was the black and red buffalo check, which is cute, but it's not going to be what I'm using for this project. So I'm just going to dismantle that and attach just the pine pieces to my antler, and then using my baker's twine, I'll wrap that around my candle a few times, tie a knot, and then just add a sweet little bow with the baker's twine and attach it all to the front of my candle by tying a knot with that extra baker's twine that's already on there. So once I get that all attached, I'm just going to pop it into my fishbowl, and it's light enough that the scatter balls or the filler stuff will keep it in place. And it's done. I love using these because there's no wax involved, no fire, and you just turn it on and voila, you have light. So I'm not sure if I should call this a DIY or a hack, but I just picked up a bunch of these window clings from the Dollar Tree and the 2 different sizes of their vases. They have so many different patterns and themes that you can use. And if you follow me on Instagram, you can see where the grandkids had fun with this project as well. So all I did was I took 2 of my clings, and you can put them on anything that's glass and it'll adhere and stay on there, but you can also take it back off. And this way it makes it a lot easier, so you can get your placement. If something doesn't look right or the wording's too big, whatever, you can just take it off and try again. So I'm using these super pretty vintage looking ones and thought that they would be perfect on my little tray. This theme just reminds me of my childhood, because when we had the little reindeer, they were new and not vintage. But I'm vintage too. And then I just popped in a Christmas tree. You can put a candle in here, whatever works with your theme, but I think it's so cute and super easy. I'll show you what my grandkids did with theirs, and then a little gingerbread house village at the end. I love these, and I hope you like them too. For this project, I'm using 4 Dollar Tree vases and some adhesive letters and some greenery. I ended up changing my greenery, but I'll show you that in a second. So all I'm going to do is take off the letters Noel to spell Noel, and I'm going to place that in the middle of my vase. And these are the square ones. I hadn't seen these before, but I think they're so pretty. And I'm just going to make sure that I'm sticking down that adhesive all the way around, but especially at the edges, because I'm going to paint over this and leave the glass exposed, but I want to make sure I don't have any bleeding. So after I get them placed onto the front of my glasses, I'm going to take my white chalk paint from Waverly, and using a paintbrush, I'm just going to go away from the edges so that I get a real thin coat, and that way when I do my second layer or my heavier layer, it's not going to bleed as much. It actually didn't bleed at all, so that was a good thing. So after I get those all painted, I gave these 2 coats. And make sure that before you add that next coat, that the first coat is completely dry, because if you don't, it'll pull up off of the glass. You know, I learned that the hard way. And then once all of the layers of paint are dry, I'm going to pull my stickers off, and that'll leave the glass showing. And then I took some flour sack stripe ribbon from Walmart, and these were sent to me by a sweet viewer, so thank you for these. And I made sweet little bows and put those right on the top of the letters. This is where you could use whatever color you're using for your holiday decor, but I'm using the red and white this year because, as you may know, that's my mom's favorite color combination at Christmas. And you know we can never have too many lights at Christmas. So I took these little LED tea lights, and I'm going to lay those into the bottom of my vases. And these are so pretty because they actually have like a little flicker, so it looks like there's real candles at the bottom of these, but that would be dangerous, so don't do that. And then I took some Walmart Christmas greenery that I got for, I think it was about $3.49 for a big bundle, and I'm going to take the big heavy stem at the bottom and fold it in half and then pop it into the top of the vase, but I don't want the stem to show through that glass, so just be sure to let it stay towards the top, and it's tight enough that it stays right in place. But here they are, all finished, and I just love these, especially at night. They're so pretty, and it was pretty easy. I love these, and I hope you like them too. Since we're coming up on the season of Advent, Dollar Tree has been carrying purple and pink candles and candle holders. And so I put these beauties on a silver tray that they carry pretty much all year. And then I just added matching votives to them. And then I just took some Christmas greenery and I'm going to cut those off of the stem and made a little swag by having some go one way and some go the other. And I'll attach those in the middle using a nylon zip tie. And then I'm going to hot glue that to the front of my tray. And then I'll just cover up that zip tie with a little bit of extra greenery so you can't see it. And then I took a sweet little birdie. He's so glam and pretty and sparkly. I'm going to place him right on top in the middle. And then I made a sweet little bow out of this adhesive ribbon. I didn't know it was adhesive, but it was a little thicker than I am used to working with, but it still made a sweet little bow. And I just attached that right to the side. Now, if you don't celebrate Advent, that's okay. This is still super pretty and you can match all of the candle holders if you want, or you can use pillars and have them in different sizes. I think that would be really pretty, and maybe attach some greenery to those. But either way, this is so easy, so pretty, and for Advent, it's perfect. So your family can count down the 4 weeks preceding Christmas Day. Now, if you want a more farmhousey looking Advent wreath, grab one of these candy dishes from the Dollar Tree and paint it black or white. Again, it's your show, your colors. My daughter chose black because it matches their decor. I think it would be pretty in white too, but I'm going to use the flat surface to paint the evergreen wreath that traditionally is the bottom of the Advent wreaths. And that represents God's everlasting love for us in both the greenery and in the form of a circle, which is never ending. So I used my darker green first and just made some overlapping and loose V shapes to resemble the evergreen stems or branches. And there's no real trick here except to kind of taper them down to a point, I guess. And then once you get that round done, go into your second circle and add a little bit of a lighter green. And then once you get done with those, go in with your lightest one. And for this, I used my celery chalk paint and added a little bit of Christmas green. And then once I got those done, I kind of just drug the tip of my brush around the whole thing, kind of lifting up and skipping some areas so it would look like the vine was weaving in and out of it. And then I made some purple and pink berries here and there just to pull in the colors of the candles. And I just used a pencil eraser to make those dots. And then to finish it all off, I gave it some snowy cuteness by watering down my white chalk paint and used a fan brush to get a pretty speckled effect. I learned that from my sweet friend Linda, and I think she'd be proud of my speckly job. And then for the Dollar Tree candles, I'm tying some pretty gingham black and white ribbon toward the top. I made a sweet little bow, but before I tighten it all the way, I poked some jute twine in there and then tightened my bow so I could hang a metal number on the twine. So each week of the 4 weeks leading up to the birth of Jesus has a meaning, or more like a feeling or emotion or something that's highlighted during those 7 days. So the first week we have hope that a Savior will release us from the bondage of sin and darkness. And the second week we focus on the faith and love for Jesus and for others. And then the third week is joy, and the candle is pink, which is known as Gaudete Sunday, and that's the Latin word for rejoice. And we feel joy because Jesus is almost here. And then in the fourth week, we celebrate peace because our Messiah is here. We're at peace. This is his first coming. It's God in a bod, and we're awaiting in anticipation of the second coming of Jesus. And I'm using my crocodile to make holes at the top of my numbers so that I can string them onto that jute twine. And I think I forgot to mention that the purple color in the Advent candles are symbolizing our sorrow for our sins and also prayer. Purple's also a royal color because he is the King of Kings. But this is how it turned out. I love it, and I hope you guys like it too. So this project I am so smitten with. I love this so much. I'm using a Dollar Tree mug in a kind of a pinky color, but I used one of these little red truck ornaments, and I'm going to take the wires off or the holder off, and then I'm going to paint it pink Again, I'm using my acrylic pink. No, I'm not using it again. I did a project just a minute ago with the pink, but you guys haven't seen that yet. Anyway, I'm going to take my pink acrylic and some white, make it super light, and then paint my little truck, let that dry. And then I use some ribbon spools to put inside of my cups. Now I'm using the Dollar Tree cup and then also this Gibson Roseland cup that my aunt had gifted me a long time ago. You can use whatever coffee cups you have, but I'm going to paint the top of my spools so that you don't see any of the letters poking out. It's all going to be covered up, but just in case anything peeks out. And then I'm using my Christmas ornament from Dollar Tree, and yes, I'm abusing my scissors. I shouldn't be doing this, and I do end up using some cutters instead, but I'm going to cut the base off so that it fits inside on top of that spool in my mug, and then I'm going to glue that down with some hot glue. I trimmed off my little mini bottle brush tree from Dollar Tree so that it would stick right next to my church and didn't lean over, and then cut down the bases so that they would fit snug as a bug in a rug. And if you just kind of push them together, the bristles will kind of adhere to each other so that they look all nice and cozy. And then I took a little snowman wood piece from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to paint him as well, a super pretty light pink, and then I'll glue him right in front of my church. And then I'm going to take another big tree, a bottle brush tree from Dollar Tree, and some mini trees. I'm going to end up cutting this down. You'll see I give him a haircut in a second, but just do the same thing. And this is so much fun. I love working with little stuff. Yes, I have my hairband on my on my wrist. I took it out of my hair and put it on my wrist. Forgot I had it on there. Anyway, I'm going to glue my little truck down there, and here's where I'm giving it a haircut. Oh, also, I glued my little mini tree back onto the back of my truck, and then I want to lighten him up a little, so I'm going to add some chalk paint to him. And then I took some Mod Podge and just globbed it on there and brush it around, and then throw some of my sparkly snow from the Dollar Tree on there to just give it a little base. I'll keep adding more to that as we go, but a lot of it's going to be covered up by some mini ornaments in pinks and whites. And I'm also going to take some vase filler, and I just pulled out the white ones. These are from Valentine's Day, I think, but they have pretty sparkles all over them, so I'm just going to glue those all around. And to get the ones tucked in there and take that top off, I just used my pliers, or what are these called? Dikes, I think, or I don't know, wire cutters. I'm going to pull that off and then just poke those around here and there. And then I'm going to take some of the Christmas greenery from Dollar Tree and cut off the tips so it looks like little teeny ones. Just put those together and make them kind of stick out from the bottom in the front. Glue them all in, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other one. I just love this so much. It looks like little bubbly wonderland. I don't know, but I love pink and white together. So once I get done with that, I'm going to take some baker's twine from the Dollar Tree, and this is that really pretty sagey green or moss green or something. Wrap that around my cup a couple of times and then tie a sweet little bow in the front, and it's done. And here they are, all finished, and I am just crushing on these. I love them so much. If you guys have a special mug or teacup or something that was gifted to you, this is a perfect way to get them out and not just sitting in the cabinet collecting dust. At least you can see it once a year. But I love these, and I hope you like them too. For this Dollar Tree DIY, I picked up 3 of these stars. I don't know if they're meant to be just hanging stars or ornaments or what, but I'm going to take my white chalk paint and just give them a super light and kind of messy coat of paint just to lighten them up. And I do want some of that metal peeking through, so for the edges, I'm going to use my sandpaper and get them showing through that paint. And then I'm going to figure out how to place these and remember which area to decorate because I kept turning them upside down and upside right, and they were wrong. But anyway, I'm gonna make little sprigs from some Dollar Tree greenery and just tie those together with a chenille stem, and then I'm gonna glue that in the points of the stars. And then I put some berries and tried to make them look pretty much coordinating, but not exactly the same. And I'm going to do that for all 3 of these. And originally my plan was to attach these to the paper towel holder from Dollar Tree, But in the end, I went a different way because once I got these done, they stood up perfectly by themselves. So I'm going to mount it a different way, and it ended up becoming more neutral than I had originally planned also. So I made 3 sweet little bows using Dollar Tree's little striped ribbon that I love so much. And I'm going to put my stars together using some E6000 or permanent adhesive, whatever you want to use, and then add some hot glue so that it stays together right then, and then you can leave it overnight to adhere permanently. And then to attach my little bows, I needed to put another berry in there so that I could glue my bow to that berry. And then I decided to use as the base this pretty little plaque. It says, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." And I love this so much, but I pulled off the paper. I have another one of these. And then I'm going to paint the outside rim with my white chalk paint. And then using some permanent adhesive and some hot glue again, I'm going to attach that to my base. And then I added an additional bead of glue on the outside and the inside of the points of my stars, if that makes sense. And then I just took some more of that ribbon and wrapped it around the base, and it was done. Super easy, but oh my goodness, I love this so much. It just makes my heart so happy. I hope you guys enjoyed these projects, and if you did, don't forget to give them a thumbs up. Comment, let me know what you think. If you're not already, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button down below, as well as the little bell right next to it, so that you can be notified every time I upload a brand new video. Remember the reason for the season. I hope everyone has a blessed day, and remember to always be the light. Bye!